Hey everyone, this is Charmaine from Fantastic Crafts. I hope all of you are having a wonderful Monday. Today we're going to be creating a card that is very difficult to create, but having it in stash ahead of time is very easy, and you will be able to show someone that you love, that you care for them, and you are thinking about them. To get started, we're going to start with the Sorry stamp set by May. I absolutely love this stamp set. It's perfect for sorry for your loss, sorry I forgot your birthday. There's different sentiments you can use, even sorry you're not feeling well. Anything really. To start, I start with a Canson watercolor cardstock, and I like using watercolor paper or cardstock for using oxide inks because oxide inks require a lot of water, and I feel the watercolor paper is able to stand all that water. So to begin with the blending, I always start with my darkest color first, and I'm using a Nouveau sponge blending tool to blend this. It doesn't require a lot of work. I kind of just rubbed it. I didn't even do any circular motion or anything. Then I went with my mid-tone, which for me is the Salty Ocean. So I started with the blue faded jeans and then the Salty Ocean, and then I'm going to end with the peacock feathers, and that is my lightest color. And again, I didn't do too much blending. I just took some ink and simply just put it onto my paper, and then just kind of dragged the previous color down to give it more of a blending look. And I did use quite a bit of ink because I wanted quite a bit of the oxide look to come out and show onto my project. So once I was done with that, I wanted to spritz some water. So I just had a little bottle of water and I just spritzed it right onto my cardstock. Because I wanted the oxidization look to be very intense, I took my little spritzer, water bottle spritzer with water, and I held it pretty close to my cardstock and just splashed some water onto the cardstock. And then once I was done with that, I kind of swirled this cardstock around a little bit and moved it because I wanted such a large area to have that look. Then I took a cloth and just wiped off any extra water that was laying around. And then I went with my mid-tone of the oxide ink once again and used that Nouveau sponge, and just this time I dabbed some ink onto my cardstock. I did this because I wanted a second layer of effect, and just gives it a really nice background and a nice look. So once I was done with the dabbing of that second mid-tone color, I once again took my spray bottle, and this time I didn't want too much of the water to spray onto the paper, so to do that I just took my spray bottle up high from the paper, so it's spraying from a further distance and just spraying a lot less than the first time. Once again, I dabbed off any extra water that was on my cardstock just so it's easier to dry. And then before moving on, you want to make sure that your watercolor paper is very, very dry. So to help me with this, I use my Marvy heat tool. Now you can just let it dry overnight, or within 30 minutes it may be dried, but I am impatient and just wanted to use my heat tool. Then we are going to be embossing part of this card, so I use my embossing buddy, and it just has like a cornstarch or some kind of powder in it that makes sure the static is gone from your paper. So I use that all over my background paper. Then I took my stamps and arranged it to how I wanted it, and simply used my Versamark ink to stamp my images onto my background. Then I used this Brutus Monroe fine detail black ink, black embossing powder, sorry, and I used this to I wanted to use the fine detail because these images from the stamp set, the Sorry stamp set by May Made It, is very detailed, and so I wanted to use an embossing powder that was detailed and would actually get into all the grooves of this image. So then I used my Marvy tool to heat set that and just It takes a little bit of time because it's a thicker piece of paper or cardstock, but just make sure you don't have it on a single spot. You are moving that heat tool all over the place so it is not stuck in one place and does not burn your paper. I wanted to add a few more of those pollens kind of just spreading around onto the air or into the background of this background paper that I created. So to do that, I just took some of these little flower buds or pollen, just kind of that is included in the stamp set, and I just kind of spread it all over with that Versamark ink pad. And then once again, I took the Buddhist Monroe's embossing powder, fine detail embossing powder, and once again heat set that with my Marvy heat tool. And remember not to keep that heat tool in a specific spot. You want to just kind of be moving that around, and I do kind of go over my whole piece of cardstock just in case I missed any other spot while I was embossing earlier. Then once I'm done with that, I did trim this cardstock a little bit. Now you can do that before you even start this project, but I forgot, so I wanted to trim it just a little bit so when I put it onto my A2 card base, I would have a very, very light little piece of black border all around. And once again, this is a side folding A2 size card, and I use a black cardstock. So when you use a black cardstock, I always put a white piece of cardstock on the inside, so I don't have to have a white gel pen. I can have a black pen and write my message in on the inside. Now I hope you never have to send this card out to anyone ever, but if you do, you have a few of these in your stash. It's very easy to mass produce and just have it in your stash. And I know we don't want to create these cards, but sometimes it is needed. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial today. I know that everyone is busy, and I really, really want to thank you for watching my video, taking the time to watch. And if you did enjoy it, please like the video, thumbs up, share, and of course, if you haven't already, subscribe. Until next time, everyone. Bye.